Welcome back to 118 Wrestling, and finally we're going to sit down today to do part 2 of the roster tier list series. Earlier in the week we done Monday Night Raw. If you've missed that, feel free to go and watch it, but today it's time for Friday Night SmackDown. Let's do exactly what we done with Raw, but for the blue brand. I'm looking forward to this because tier lists are just my favourite thing. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, please make sure to go down below and hit like and subscribe as we begin this journey here on 118 Wrestling. Sorry, there's not been a video in a couple of days here on this channel. If you know me and you know what I do primarily for a living, then it's been a very busy couple of days. In the world of Celtic Football Club, it's been non-stop with focusing on things over there. So I've had to take a couple of days break from making videos here on 118 Wrestling, but we're back. We're going to be here all week. I've got plans for videos every single day, and that starts with today's video as we continue the tier list series here on 118 Wrestling, which is something that I imagine is going to become quite a regular feature on this channel. Now, as I mentioned in the intro to the video the other day, we looked at Monday Night Raw and we graded the roster from main event status to people who probably shouldn't be around WWE right now. So we're going to do the exact same thing today with the Friday Night SmackDown roster. I'm glad that I don't need to really explain much because, well, you should know how it works by now. And I'm excited. Friday Night SmackDown, obviously, still really similar to what it was before the draft, as was Monday Night Raw. There wasn't too much of a shake-up when it came to people moving from A to B, but we still have a different roster to look at and within its own right to be graded. So let's jump into the tier list, shall we? So here we are on Friday Night SmackDown, and you'll notice one thing instantly. It's a significantly smaller roster than Monday Night Raw. There is a lot less competitors both in the women's and men's division, and that's probably just down to the fact that SmackDown's a shorter show. There's not as much TV time. There's only 2 hours to fill, whereas Monday Night Raw has that 3-hour slot on the USA Network. So they don't need as many superstars on Friday Night SmackDown. And if you also look closely, I feel like this is a much more experimental brand. I feel like there's less established people on SmackDown, and that's probably down to the fact this is where they focus mainly on the Bloodline storyline. This is where the Bloodline lives, and when Roman Reigns comes back, he'll be on SmackDown too. So I think that this is the roster to maybe put some up-and-comers, some people with a lot of potential onto the show, and maybe get some eyes on them. So we're going to try and grade it. We're going to try and go through it as thick and fast as possible, just like we did with Monday Night Raw. So there won't be an over-the-top explanation for every wrestler. Please keep that in mind. And please keep in mind that for Friday Night SmackDown, some people technically weren't drafted. If you're thinking to yourself, and if you're going to go to the comments and ask, where's Roman Reigns? Where's Jimmy Uso? They weren't drafted. They're officially not members of the Friday Night SmackDown roster. So before you start asking those questions, that's why we're going from the actual books, the rules. Let's do this. So let's start with AJ Styles, who obviously goes straight up into the main event column. Some people thought he was done. Some people thought he was finished. And then he put on a 5-star classic with Cody Rhodes at Backlash, just a week ago. Great wrestler, one of the greatest to ever do it, and still a massive part of the Friday Night SmackDown roster. I think we'll see him involved in a few more main event scenarios over the very few years he's got left in his career, because he's still got it. He's unbelievable. He's phenomenal. Andrade, somebody who has obviously just recently came back after jumping ship to AEW. He's now jumped ship back to WWE and finds himself in a very peculiar place. He's somebody who I would love to say is solid and not quite main event, but let's be real, he's kind of in the mid-card picture right now. I don't see any big plans for him to be pushed into the upper echelon of the Friday Night SmackDown card yet. He needs to get more time on TV. And you could maybe make a case that he deserves to go in the potential column, which needs a space. Thank you. You could argue he goes in there, but I'm just going to sit him in mid-card for now because he's been around the game long enough. Maybe he does need more of a chance, to be fair. I was very critical of Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde in the last video. I actually think that Humberto and Angel are a lot better. I think they've got more to them, and maybe it's because they're carrying that heel gimmick, which just is a little more entertaining than the face equivalent. but they're kind of a jobber team, aren't they? Like, that's where they are right now. They could be up higher. Them and Santos have a little bit to do. Do you know what? I'll be kind to them. I'll put them in mid-card, but they're right down towards the bottom. The SmackDown tag team division isn't huge either. There's not a lot of tag teams in there, so they're going to have to eventually start to maybe experiment with giving guys like, you know, Angel and Humberto tag team matches, but they're at the very end of the mid-card for me right now. They need more to do. I'm going to batter through two here because, and I hate seeing people lose their jobs. It's not like I wish for people to get released. And just as well as this, right, keep this in mind. I don't just mean like totally release them and cut ties with them. This could also mean, you know, maybe put them back in NXT. I just don't see a place for them on Friday Night SmackDown ultimately, and I don't see it coming up for them in the next year either. So I'm putting both Apollo Crews and Ashante the Adonis in this role because Apollo Crews done nothing on the main roster last year. He got drafted to Raw, done nothing. Ashante the Adonis, done nothing. They've teased this tag team with Cedric Alexander. We're yet to really see it. Maybe give that a chance in NXT. Apollo is somebody else, once again, been around for a long time now in WWE and really amounted to not much. I'm sorry. I hate saying it. I hate being negative, but I'm just being honest. I love Baron Corbin. I told you this in the King of the Ring video. I absolutely love him. And his status on the main roster really isn't known yet because he's just back. I think realistically speaking, he'll be a mid-card sort of guy. I would love to say he needs a chance / potential, but like, this is his chance, isn't it? So we'll see how it goes, and I hope it goes a lot better than the kind of last few years of his first main roster run, but he rejuvenated himself brilliantly in NXT. I'm sad that we won't get maybe a short Wolf Dogs run with Braun Breaker, but it's a big opportunity for Baron Corbin. I just love him to bits, and hopefully he makes a good name for himself back on the main roster this time round. Bayley is one of the best in the whole company when it comes to the women's division. Would I rate her higher than AJ Styles? Probably, yeah. She's the champion, for God's sake. So I'm going to put her up at the top right now. Brilliant match with Io Sky at WrestleMania. Brilliant triple threat match at Backlash with Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. She's somebody that you can trust to put on good matches with anybody in the women's division. Everybody loves her. It's Bayley, for God's sake. Not much else needs to be said. Let's go through the next two, and I'm going to jump a couple here because they're technically a tag team right now, but Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, I think, are both main event status superstars. And I know you might not agree with me when it comes to Jade Cargill because she's only had a handful of matches, but she's been brought in as this mega star for a reason. She is the complete package. And this tag title run with Bianca Belair, when that ends, we are going to see main event worthy matches with her and Bianca Belair, and then eventually Jade Cargill in main event caliber matches, including the WWE Women's Championship. So it's going to come. It's going to be there. She's brilliant. She's amazing. She's got aura. Love her. And Bianca Belair speaks for itself, this pick. She's been one of the main event women in WWE for what? 4 or 5 years coming up. She's very trustworthy. She's very good in ring, very charismatic. She's just like Jade. She has the whole package. The kids love her as well. So both of them are main event level, and hopefully that brings a little more credibility to the women's tag division. Bobby Lashley needs to, get back to that level of being a main eventer somehow. They need to build him there. Right now he's not. Bobby Lashley's solid, but not quite main event. And I don't know if he'll ever return to the main event scene the way that he was there, 2020, 2021, even 2022. I don't know if he's quite going to be back up there anytime soon, but WWE need to legitimately build him there. He is so good. He's brilliant. Everybody loves Bobby Lashley for a reason because he always gives 100%. He's doing as much as he can with this whole pride thing just now. He's solid, but not quite main event. He really is, across both rosters, I think he might be the epitome and the personification of the title of that role. Candice LeRae, a jobber. I think some people might try and argue she needs a chance because we know she can be brilliant, but right now she is a jobber. And they started teasing some good things on Raw with the whole kind of heel turn, and I fear that might just get killed on SmackDown because of how little time there is to get that on the show. We'll see following Queen of the Ring, the conclusion of that. But right now, she's in jobber. Cedric Alexander, once again, maybe send him to NXT with, I'm moving Apollo to the bottom, maybe send him to NXT and add a tag team to their tag division. That could work. But once again, is he even on the main roster? Do we see him? No. So what else is that? He's not even a jobber. He's not jobbing. So, aye. Chelsea is go straight in here. Needs a big opportunity this year. Deserves a big opportunity this year. She's been fucking brilliant. So entertaining. Everybody loves her for a reason. Samantha Irvin will sadly not be announcing her this year as she's on SmackDown, but we still have Chelsea Green. Give her the Money in the Bank briefcase, for God's sake. I love her. Give her that big push this year. She's needing a chance. Needing a huge chance. Cody Rhodes, the top guy in the company right now, the WWE champion. What else needs to be said? We all love him. Well, some people don't, but we mostly all love him, and he's great. He's just bloody great, and he'll probably be main event in WrestleMania 41, so that says it all, really. Let's batter through a few, shall we? Blair Davenport, potential. Don't know what she'll do in the main roster, but definitely potential. Alexa Lopez, jobber, really. I know we don't see her wrestle much, but technically she does wrestle. She's had matches and doesn't really do much, does it? I wouldn't even put her in mid-card, so pretty much a jobber, Alexa Lopez. The OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. If you don't know, I love these guys, always have, but I know nowadays they're not as popular and they're not as wanted on TV as maybe they were a decade ago. I would still put them in mid-card because they still have something to offer. They're kind of in that in-between of jumping between NXT and SmackDown and whatever. You could say they're just jobbers, but I think, if you look at what they're doing in NXT, they're a bit more than jobbers, so I'll put them in mid-card. Johnny Gargano, and we could bring Tommaso into this as well if I can find him. Where is Tommaso? Where is he? I can't see him. I can't find there. He's there. DIY, both of them are in the mid-card, probably quite high in the mid-card. I think they're going to be probably one of the more trusted tag teams on the SmackDown roster, but ultimately they've got a lot of work to do to gain some of the popularity back that they used to have, and you might argue that they've already had their chances for that. But listen, we know how good these two guys can be, and it's so frustrating seeing them stuck in this situation because they're really, really good. They maybe don't have that charisma that some others have, but yeah, they're in the mid-card right now, aren't they? Indy Hartwell's in the same category as Candice at the minute, but I feel like she's somebody that has... Do you know what? I'm going to move her above. She's much younger, isn't she? But maybe she's not. I don't know their ages, to be quite honest. But she's not had a massive opportunity since joining the main roster from NXT. She's just kind of been lumped together with Candice LeRae. And I know there's history there. I know it all comes from back in NXT with Dexter Lumis, blah, blah, blah. But she's a former NXT Women's Champion, and she's done literally nothing on the main roster. So she probably is in need of a chance. So I'll put her in there. Kevin Owens, the next... Yeah, let's get on to the next few in a clump here. Kevin Owens is one of the MVPs of WWE, and I'm not just saying that because he's like one of my top 5 wrestlers of all time and one of my favourites on the active roster. But he's so reliable. He doesn't need a title to be in the main event. He can just be in the main event. He's that good, both in ring, on the mic, whatever. Kevin Owens is an MVP of WWE. And he's easily in the main event scene, hence why he's been so involved with this Bloodline saga from the minute it started to where we are right now. He's easily up there. LA Knight also up there right now as well. I know that he's kind of just floating around at the minute with not many plans surrounding him, but it'll come. Hopefully this year we finally see something, if it's a US title run or whatever. He's a main event guy. And so is Logan Paul. I'm going to put Logan here. He's in the main event against Cody Rhodes at King of the Ring, or King and Queen of the Ring, I should say. He's had matches with Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. He's one of the faces of the company at this point. Whether you love it or hate it, he is. And it's just a fact. Carmelo, a brilliant addition to the main roster. Solid. Not quite main event yet. Obviously, I had that match with Cody Rhodes and SmackDown. It was great. But he's not going to be main event in pay-per-views anytime soon. I'll be given any major title runs anytime soon. He's a solid addition to the roster. And he eventually probably will be in the main event if things go well. Michin, Mia Yim needs a chance. Jobber. She's once again just like Gallows and Anderson, kind of floating between the main roster and NXT. It's hard to really pick where she goes, but people love her. I would say that she's probably somebody who needs a bit of a chance, whether it's in NXT or on the main roster, to really show what she can do rather than just being plopped alongside, you know, the OC or AJ Styles, whatever. So I'll put her there for now, but I don't know if she's got as much time as maybe, you know, Indy Hartwell does, who's very early on in her WWE career. Gone are the days where Nakamura was up in any of these tiers. He's mid-card now. It's as simple as that. I don't think a lot of people have a desire to see Nakamura as much nowadays, including myself. I was never a huge Nakamura fan in the first place. I liked him, and I didn't mind when he was in big matches, but it wasn't like I was actively seeking it, you know. Right now, he's mid-card. He is, and I think he will be for the remainder of his WWE career. He likes the bag, and I respect it. I think the next two probably find themselves up in this category. Nia Jax has come on leaps and bounds since her return, by the way. Can't speak highly enough of Nia Jax. I think she's been brilliant since returning. She's been entertaining. And I think in ring, there's been a big improvement from her as well. Naomi as well is solid, a trusted worker, and both of them are solid additions to the roster. I think we'll probably see one of the two, more likely Nia Jax, get a title run soon, by the way. So I think they're both solid, but not quite main event. They're not up on the same level as a Bianca or Jade Cargill, put it that way. Randy Orton is Randy Orton. It's a simple. I'll put him above Kevin, sorry. On you go, Randy. In there. It's Randy bloody Orton. What else do you want me to say? This is somebody who goes up just as high as Chelsea for me. Piper Niven is so good. Scottish biased, you might say so, but she's brilliant. She is really, really good. So underutilised and underrated. She is brilliant, and she's been robbed of so many big pushes and opportunities. The Doudrop stuff really took some stock away from her, I thought. Give her a chance to shine, and she will. And she seems loved as well. Like, she seems really loved. Give her a massive opportunity, I beg. Love these guys. Love them. But I feel like I'm putting a lot of people in here. As I said at the start of the video, though, SmackDown feels like somewhere where there's a lot of up-and-comers and a lot of guys that I love pretty deadly. Give them a chance. Give them tag titles. They're entertaining. They're good in ring. They're unique. I love them. Absolutely love Pretty Deadly. I'm going to go through the bloodline people here. Get this over and done with pretty quickly. Solo Sikoa up here. Tangaloa and Tama Tonga, I'm just going to put beside him, even though Tangaloa has been in WWE for like 5 minutes, right, and we really don't know what will happen. They are the bloodline, but they are the B-Tech bloodline. They aren't Roman Reigns and the Usos, not yet. And I know Tama Tonga and Tangaloa have got histories in other companies and other territories or whatever, but that isn't WWE. They are the B-Tech bloodline right now, and the stock will raise, and eventually we'll probably see them up here, but for now, they are, and do you know what? No, I'm just going to keep them here at the end. I'm keeping them at the end of the solid but not quite main event category. When Roman comes back and we elevate these guys, they'll probably rise. But right now, they're there for me. We're coming to the end now. Santos, he's a mid-carder. I'm going to place him like here, just after DIY. He's in the mid-card, and I like him. I want to buy into more of what he's doing. The LWO stuff has just hurt everybody involved, I think. That went on far too long. It was tiresome. It's time for something fresh. Solid mid-carder to have at the minute, though. And who knows, maybe there's a US Championship run somewhere in the future for him as well. But I like him. I can't wait to see what's next. Street Profits are probably one of the top tag teams on SmackDown, and with Bobby Lashley, they find themselves in this area, I would say, because people love them and they enjoy. You hear the pop every time they come out. People love the Street Profits. They've just been sort of underused and kind of pushed to the side in the last year or two, which is weird because they came out of the main roster so hot and they put them into the tag title runs straight away and they've not been able to get a sniff of it, mostly because of the bloodline stuff on SmackDown. But they are solid guys and one of the top tag teams across both rosters. So yeah, for me, I put them up there. Let's batter through the last few, shall we? Tegan Knox needs a chance. She is great in ring. Maybe not the most charismatic person on earth. Maybe not as great on the mic as some others. But she needs a chance. She's so young. And she's been robbed of a lot of chances as well, if you read some of the things that have meant to have happened and blah, blah, blah. She needs a chance. Maybe, I'd say NXT again for a bit. I don't know. She might get lost in the shuffle. There's a lot of young female wrestlers on the SmackDown roster, so it's maybe hard to stake your claim. Austin Theory, for me, actually goes up here, but maybe towards the bottom. I think his stock has dropped a bit. But I think it's rising again with this partnership with the main man himself, and I love him, Grayson Waller, who I think is up there as well. You might think that's a bit high. You might be thinking you're putting him above some other. Yeah, I think Grayson Waller is fantastic, and I think you can see the amount of faith that the company have in him as well, giving him big moments with the Grayson Waller effect, with John Cena, with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I think they think very highly of him, as they should, because he's great in the mic, great entertainer. Him and Theory, they'll be brilliant as a tag team should they be given the amount of time they need on TV. And Tiffany Stratton is probably up like there just now, isn't she? Simply put, because she's great. She's absolutely great, and she's going to be probably the top woman in WWE over the next decade, I reckon. And finally, it's Baldy Vinci, who I'm scared for. I must admit, I'm scared for. So you could say mid card, but I think he might end up like the guys down here. I don't know if we'll see him on TV much over the next year. He might end up back in NXT. So I'm going to put him in jobber for now, but we don't know what the status is going to be. I worry for him. I really do. And there you go. There is the rating of my SmackDown roster for you on screen. I think it's pretty fair. I think it shows that just like Raw, there's a decent spread, especially with the fewer talent that there is. But there's a lot of people in the mid-card area. I think there are a lot of people between this area and the potential area that do need chances, whether they are Bobby Lashley or Michin. You know, I think that there's chances to be given out, and sometimes the bloodline stuff, yeah, as it's a priority, it just needs to be forgotten about for 5 minutes to give these guys chances. But that's how I would assess the SmackDown roster. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So thank you for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this ranking of the SmackDown roster. It was meant to come out on Friday, so I know it's a bit late, and SmackDown is kind of past. It was meant to come out on the same day, you know. Anyway, thank you. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe. And we'll see you back in the channel tomorrow where we'll have more content. So, yeah, see y'all next time.